Well, I actually like it more than I thought I would. I haven't worn a watch in almost 10 years, probably since cell phones came out, and this has actually been a really pleasant experience. I am amazed at how easy it is to type with it on. I was worried the clasp would get in the way and that it would rub on the keyboard, but it's actually been great because it's so thin and low profile. And my favorite part is I don't do this 100 times a day looking at my phone screen, just constantly trying to see if anyone texts.
So instead of constantly looking at your phone?
Yep, to try to make sure I don't miss any notifications. I know right when they come in because my phone taps me, or my watch taps me and tells me. So it's been quite a savior because I used to walk around like this all the time and I get kind of sick of it. And I think, as most women know, our pants don't really hold these big phones very well. So I usually have my phone in my purse, or else I have to hold it in my hand. And especially when it's in my purse, I'm always missing phone calls and text messages, and that really bothered me. And that was one of the primary reasons I wanted to get this watch, was so that if my phone is in my purse, I don't have to worry about that. And it's been great for getting phone calls and messages that I would have otherwise not received because my phone was in the other room, or if it was in my purse, somewhere like that, or if I was in a noisy environment.
Do you find yourself playing with the watch a lot?
Not really. I've kind of made it a passive tool in my life more than a toy. I do look at my activity periodically because that's still kind of a fun toy part of it, to see how much movement I have, and sadly I don't move very much at all. So the first few days I found myself, cursing the watch because it was telling me to stand up and move. It's like, it's already been an hour, I swear I just sat down. So it's been interesting getting used to that. I've done a little bit of customization, so you can see, time to stand up.
Oh, you better stand.
Oh, crap. Okay.
Work it out. Work it out.
My arm movement, make it think I'm going for a walk.
Shake the baby.
Well, so the customization that I've done is pretty minor. So I took one of the standard watch faces, which is the one that has a lot of different information on it. And you can see all the options. This is the one I like the best because it kind of shows me all of the data I want to see right with one glance, and then customize it. And I turned all that text blue. You can make it green or yellow or orange or red. All different colors. And I made mine blue to match the watch face. And then you can also customize what's in each corner. Shh. Mama's talking. So you can also customize what's in each corner. And the only thing that I ended up changing was I put my battery here in the right corner. I don't remember what the default was, but everything else is exactly what I want to see. I want to know the current temp, the fitness, my next calendar event, the date and the time, everything I could possibly want. So I actually don't even find myself going into the watch that often because all of the data I want is right there on the face.
How's the battery?
The battery has been pretty good. It's more than a day, so I can go a full day no problem with the watch. As you can see, I'm running a little bit low because I did not charge my watch overnight last night. I found that if I don't charge it overnight, it ends up lasting about a day and a half, so I'm probably gonna have to charge it in the next hour. But the good news is it charges really fast. It goes from almost dead to fully charged in about an hour.
Tell me about the fitness aspects.
It has been nice just having it be very passive. When I was just using HealthKit on my phone, I'd always have to make sure I grabbed my phone before I walked anywhere. And I always kind of wondered, does it register differently if it's in my purse versus my pocket versus my hand? I've really enjoyed getting a view into my fitness, but I didn't want a dedicated Fitbit. I didn't think that would be the right fit for me. So that's why I held off on getting a fitness band until the watch came out. There's a few quirks with it that I haven't quite figured out yet. One is that I'll stand for what seems like a full minute and it won't register as me standing at all. Or if I'm walking with a cup of coffee in my hand and my arm doesn't move very much, it won't register that I'm walking around. And that's been a little bit frustrating because when it tells me it's time to stand up, I have to go and like vigorously move around the house for a minute. And frequently I'll be walking around the house and feel like I'm actually up for like 5 minutes just doing something like getting food or taking the dogs out. And as soon as I go to sit back down, it'll say, time to stand up. And I think, well, I was just standing up. How did you not notice that I already did my standing for this hour? So there's still some quirks there. And then the exercise meter is, I still have yet to figure out how this exercise meter actually triggers, because I have definitely done some very intense walking where I feel like I'm definitely exercising, and I'll get back and it won't have registered any exercise. So I have no idea what their criteria is for that, but as a pregnant lady, I'm not going to be out running marathons or anything to make my Apple Watch happy. So brisk walking is about all I can do at this point, but it's been pretty good, and I do appreciate finding out that I'm very sedentary and I need to move around a lot more. So quirks with the watch. There are a few weird things. One is, you know, it's still spring, so I'm wearing long sleeves, and kind of the watch gesture, I think that's natural, is to kind of flick the sleeve up while you turn your hand, so like that. But it doesn't trigger the watch glance. So if my hands are full and I do this quick, it actually doesn't turn the watch on. And that's been a little bit frustrating, because then I have to like flip my wrist down and then back up to try to trick it into triggering. And a few times must have had my hand already in a vertical position when a notification came in. So when I flicked it to look at the notification, it flashed on and flashed off right away. So, you know, a few times that's happened and you know, I can't read the notification that fast. So there are a few little quirks with the flick gesture for getting the watch to turn on. The other kind of awkward thing is if I'm cutting food and, you know, with the knife and like eating, it triggers the watch face, which is very distracting for me, but also for people around me, especially if it's a darker room. So that's kind of awkward, but in the grand scheme of things, it's probably a pretty minor flaw. But just kind of that screen going on and off in strange ways is a little bit surprising. Yes, I have a wow story. So, you know, as I mentioned, one of my anxieties is missing phone calls or messages because my phone's in my purse. Well, a few weekends ago, we went to go meet friends at the farmer's market, which was pretty loud. And typically I would be, you know, gripping my phone like this to make sure I didn't miss the text message from our friends when they arrived. But with the watch, you know, I had the phone away in my purse, and I didn't have to worry about it at all. As soon as the friends got there, my watch tapped me because they texted me. And even in the loud farmer's market, I was able to do a voice to text saying we're by the band, and sent it off, and it translated it perfectly to text, sent it off, and I was able to do all of that without getting my phone out and without having to worry about missing, you know, a notification from a friend. And that's absolutely the number one reason why I love this watch, is that ability to make sure you're not missing important communications right when they come in. Now the flip side of that is I actually don't get a lot of email or a lot of spam because I guard my email inbox pretty closely. But I can imagine that very quickly, if you get a lot of email, the watch would become obnoxious because you'd be always looking at it, and you can't kind of ignore it, turn it off, because it really taps you and gets your attention. So I think for a person who does get a lot of notifications during the day, it would be worth figuring out a better strategy to manage how those notifications come to the watch. And they do let you customize it fairly fine-grained as far as which email accounts come through and which apps can notify you on your watch so that you don't get bombarded. But I can see how really quickly it would become annoying, and it would become less of a passive tool and more of a in-your-face tool. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing to watch out for.
Yeah, so, you know, my last question is, you have an Android Wear watch, a Sony, I don't even know what model it is, right?
I don't remember either.
Yeah, yes, but, you know, how you know, obviously the OS is different, but, you know, what makes the Apple Watch feel comfortable for you?
Oh, man, the Sony watch, sorry, Sony, is awful. It was obviously made for a man with no consideration of a woman, and I really appreciate that Apple put some effort into making a watch that would work for me. The Sony watch, the face is so long, it doesn't wrap around my wrist, so the band doesn't start wrapping around until way out here, so it's like always shifting and rotating, very uncomfortable. And then the clasp is about you know, more than a 1/4 inch thick. It's quite thick on the clasp of the Sony watch. So it was always catching on my keyboard. It made it impossible to type. And with the rotation, it was just so uncomfortable that it wasn't even worth wearing. And so I really appreciate the design aspect of the watch. And I know a lot of people always said, well, my Android watch could already do everything the Apple Watch could do. But my point would be that the Apple Watch is doing most of those things better. At least for me and for my wrist.
Very cool. Well, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
I'm glad you enjoy your gift.
Yep. It was the best Mother's Day gift ever. Beautiful Apple Watch.
Bing.
Bing. It's gonna rain at 4 o'clock.